about dividing fractions and mixed numbers. A couple of things to know. One, you would need to know what a reciprocal is. And we'll talk about that in detail in just a minute. A reciprocal is a multiplicative inverse of a number. And simply, we are just flipping the fraction. Let's look at a couple of examples. So starting with 2/3, 2/3 is flipped, or the reciprocal of 2/3 is 3/2. So my numerator becomes my denominator turns into my numerator. And anytime we're multiplying that number, it turns into 1. 6/6, which equals to 1 whole. Let's look at one more example before we move on. 5. Remember, 5 is a whole number. So in order to turn 5 into a fraction, we would do 5/1. Then we would simply flip. Our reciprocal of 5, or 5/1, is 1/5. And again, 5 times 1, that's 5. 1 times 5, that's 5, which is equal to 1. It is helpful if you also remember how to multiply fractions, which we talked about earlier. And then lastly, how to convert mixed numbers to improper and reduce when needed. These are our steps to kind of keep it real simple. And again, this is a lot of information on one screen, so we will review on other screens. Keep, change, flip. Keep the first fraction the same. Change the division sign to a multiply sign, and flip. We talked about reciprocal in the previous slide, and basically it's the same thing. We flip the second fraction, or the reciprocal of the second fraction. Let's just look at this example really quickly before we look at some practice. Keep 4/5. We would change my division to a multiply, and then we would simply flip or find the reciprocal of 2/3. And if you look at the second one, I have showed you that. Now, let's quickly deep dive into mixed to improper. That's another step that you have to know in order to be able to divide fractions. You simply multiply your whole number and the denominator. So in this case, I will multiply 1 times 4 and add the numerator. And in this case, 1 times 4 plus 3. And then that would be my numerator, and I would keep my denominator the same. Okay, let's look at the steps. Change any mixed numbers or whole numbers into either improper fractions or or two fractions. Keep, change, flip. And the same way we multiply our fractions, we divide our fractions. We just multiply straight across. Multiplying my numerator, and multiply my denominator, and of course reduce or convert into a mixed number once we are done. So let's go ahead, let's look at a practice problem. And now I just need to see how many times 5 goes into 26. Let's do the math. So I have two things that I need to change before I can start the problem. First of all, I have a mixed number, which I will have to convert into an improper. Then I have a whole number, and I can just convert that into a fraction by adding a 1 underneath it. Then let's do the math and start by our steps on the side.